So do you wanna welcome everybody to the show, episode 90?
No, I hate people.
Who is your daddy?
I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Welcome to Fathers of the Grind podcast. This is episode 90 with your host, Derek Teague, and my co-host, and yes, definitely beneath me, Timothy Nestor. How you doing, Timothy?
Doing great, thank you. Thank you.
That was a great intro, by the way. I'm not even going to let you talk. I just want to make sure I point out the fact that was an amazing intro for a host.
Oh, we're using it. That was phenomenal. All right, man. It's a Sunday afternoon. We're recording kind of later than usual.
And I'm drinking already.
And you're drinking already? Oh, my goodness. That is a 2-liter bottle. That is not like a little can.
The only beer I care about.
The beer of the root.
Yep.
Hey, have you ever had Not Your Father's root beer?
Yeah. Isn't that the one that has alcohol, though?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I mean, it's
I
kind
don't
of
like alcohol.
It's kind of like Mike's Hard Lemonade, but it's for root beer. But
yeah, I tried it. My wife bought it when we went to a party. She likes for me to drink at parties because I'm an asshole. And I didn't drink it. I was like, it's got calories, and I don't drink liquids that have calories in it.
Oh, boy. All right, so we've got a few things we're going to cover. The main thing we're going to talk about this week at Derek's recommendation is to kind of talk about the third quarter of 2017, which turned out to be, well, we'll figure it out, but I think it turned out to be a surprisingly good Q3 because I thought Q3 was going to be kind of that lull between things for this year, but it turned out I thought to be pretty incredible. But
yeah, we'll review it. Now, I didn't put, just so the listeners know, I didn't put every single game.
Yeah.
Because I just put ones that either we played or picked up or I saw other people talking about in the group or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll go through the list. We'll just kind of highlight ones we think are worth mentioning.
Yep.
But yeah, so for right now, though, before we get into that, we're going to talk about two things. One, we're going to review stuff we're playing because it's always fun to talk about games we're currently experiencing. And also, we're going to talk about the next game you're buying because we are about to hit this season of spending way too much money on video games. All right?
Yeah.
It all kicks off very soon. So anyway, we're in that season. Before we get there, though, what are you playing right now?
Well, right now I'm still playing a lot of Destiny 2. Like, it's definitely my main game. I keep trying to check that waste of time and Destiny page, but every time I put my information, it only gives me my Destiny 1 stats. It won't give me my Destiny 2 stats anymore. So when I originally did it,
time I tried it, it was
when I originally did it, it gave me over 40 hours, and that was like in the first week. And again, like I told listeners, I was on vacation, so that's why I went crazy. But I haven't really slowed down that much. I mean, every time I'm gaming, besides a few other distractions, which I'll talk about in a minute, but the main one is Destiny 2. Like, that's just the one I'm having the most fun with. I just beat it yesterday for the second time, this time with a Warlock character. And it's funny because I jumped from 170 power to 270 as soon as I hit like level 20. Like, I jumped almost 100 because I had so many weapons and things stored up to give to my Warlock that it boosted me right away.
Planning ahead. Nice work.
Yeah. So that's the main game. Just as a real quick side stuff, I played some Divinity Original Sin with Jesse White yesterday. We played for about 2 hours. Again, I like these type of games. Like, I like Pillars of Eternity, even though I basically stopped because of Destiny 2. But I like these old school type of games as far as they're fun to play and look at for me, but they're a little like, what am I doing? I felt like Pillars of Eternity was a little bit easier to understand. I know with Jesse and I, we were playing Divinity and we were like trying to solve this murder mystery. We know who did it, but we have to get evidence against this person, and it's taking us forever because we're like, I don't know what to do. You know, we're reading all the clues and we're like, I don't know what to do. So both him and I were like, I think we're just gonna have to go to a guide to get this one done so we can just move forward in this game. But it's a cool game.
As long as you didn't throw a firebomb that killed both of you because you hit the rock right in front of you.
Well, we played for like almost 2 hours yesterday and only got in one fight. The rest of the time was in a town trying to solve this mystery. And so we decided at the end, right before I had to get off, because I was originally going to record with you last night, but we didn't do it. But we decided to go fight some orcs, and they were OP, and we got demolished. We had 4 team members. He was controlling 2, I was controlling the other 2, and we got destroyed. So
sad.
The only other thing I'm playing, and I haven't played it in a few days because, again, I've been playing Destiny 2, but I'm definitely going to finish it because I love it, is Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider. I think the reason I like it more is it came out at a good time for me. It's a good distraction from Destiny 2, and I'm not really playing anything else. I've slowed down a lot on Mario plus Rabbids. I've only played it a little bit. So this has been kind of my second game that I'm going to. And I originally played Dishonored 2. I didn't like it as much, but I think, because it's not a bad game, and I know I never said it was a bad game. I just didn't love it. I think it's because of when it released, and I was trying to rush through it, and I was getting frustrated by some things that maybe I'm not getting frustrated with now because I'm like just enjoying it. Like, I'm in no rush to beat it. I started it over a week ago. Most people would have had it beat by now because it's only like a 7 or 8 hour experience, but I'm not rushing through them. 4 hours in, and I just keep exploring the world. Whatever mission I'm on, I'm exploring instead of just do the mission, which is how I play a lot of games. So
I just saw Dishonored Death of the Outsider listed. It didn't even list Dishonored 2. It just said Dishonored, Death of the Outsider.
See, I just did it by memory. So
the only reason I'm mentioning that at all is I'm asking you, is this kind of like Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it's tied to the most recent game but really is its own thing? Or
it is, but
Dishonored 2?
It's all right. So here's the thing: you need to play Dishonored 2 before you play Death of the Outsider. You really should play Dishonored and Dishonored 2 because the Outsider. It's not a spoiler. I mean, he's in the game from the very beginning, Dishonored and Dishonored 2. He's the dude that gives everybody the power. So he's kind of like God in this game. He's the one that gives you all these special abilities to, talk to rats or turn into animals and so on. So this game is all about seeking revenge and going after him. So it is important because the main character that you control, Billy, she's in Dishonored 2, and she's actually helping Corvo and Emily in Dishonored 2. So I think it's important that you play both those games before you play Death of the Outsider. This is separate, though. Like, it's not like one of those games where you have to play the first 2 in order to play it. It just would, to me, in my opinion, be dumb to be like, oh, I've decided I'm going to get into the Dishonored games. I've never played them. I'm going to play Death of the Outsider. No, start with the first one or start with the second.
Saying. I mean, but in the same way, wouldn't you suggest before you play Uncharted Lost Legacy, it's good to have at least played Uncharted 2 and 4? At least. That way you have an understanding of these 2 characters, right?
Yeah, and that would be how I would put Death of the Outsider. The only difference, though, between Lost Legacy and Death of the Outsider is the villain in Death of the Outsider is literally a guy that was in the first 2 games, whereas Lost Legacy, yes, the characters you're controlling are in previous games, but the villain isn't somebody that you've dealt with before.
Okay.
So this is
more of a connection to Dishonored.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's tied to Dishonored 1 and 2 way more than Lost Legacy.
The main reason I'm asking that is not because I want to play it before Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2 is actually pretty high on my backlog list, so it's one of the next times that I decide to jump back and play something I've missed. That's up there. But I was just curious for, is this a standalone game in 2017 or is this a DLC?
I would consider it a standalone because you could play it on your own. I just think it would be smart to play the others before you play it.
So it's more like Wolfenstein: The Old Blood and Uncharted Lost Legacy than it is like Witcher 3: Hearts of Stone.
Yeah, because if you take, let's say I've never played a Dishonored game, and I just pop this game in. All right, so I meet Billy. Billy goes and rescues this guy that she used to work with who helped her through stuff. and then he tells you he wants to kill the outsider. I don't know who the outsider is. Okay, we'll kill the outsider. That's the game.
So
like
no
that.
Context.
Yeah. If I didn't have context, it would still have a decent story, and you would be meeting these characters for the first time. And if I've played both of them, which I have, it adds a little more value, but it's still standalone. Like, if I liked it enough, I would put it in my, like, Lost Legacy. I would put it in my Game of the Year discussions. In fact, it will probably be in my top 10 list after I beat it.
Yeah.
Will it finish? I don't know, because there's just so much.
Yeah, I was just curious for those who are like me, kind of still interested in the series. We like the series a lot, and what kind of experience is this? It sounds like it's almost a Dishonored 2.5 kind of thing. Kind of like Uncharted Lost Legacy was kind of like Uncharted 4.5, which is great. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and not to get off subject, but this is like a good topic. Probably should have done it for topic of the show. But Square Enix, and I know this upset a lot of the JRPG fanboys, but Square basically said going forward, the way they're looking at their IPs is that they are no longer like a product but a service. So, example, Final Fantasy 15, if you look at it, it keeps living. Like, they keep adding on to the game. Now, it's still a standalone game, but they keep adding on to the product and making it a service. That's how they're going to start releasing games. I feel like that's what they're all doing. Like, I feel like, using Uncharted and Dishonored as an example, instead of releasing a game and then waiting 2 to 4 years for another game in that series, they're going, let's release the main game, and then a year later give you a little taste of it, its own separate story, but it's still in that universe, and then 2 years later you're going to get another game in that franchise. So I feel like these games are turning into more of a service, like Destiny 2, stuff like that, where they're trying to keep you coming back, keep you in that franchise. And I think that is the future of gaming, good or bad.
I think it is too.
I see both.
I'm kind of surprised to see companies like Square, and there's others, Bungie and others leading the way. I just assumed it would have been like EA, because sports seems to me to be the most obvious place to have games be a service. Just have Madden NFL. That's your game. And then every year, maybe it's every 3 years, they release a new base game. But I mean, we've talked about this before. Sports games have unless you're really, really into it and you play it super in depth, they have such minor changes from year to year, other than like menus, and maybe they introduced some kind of, like back in the day, a new hit stick or whatever else. But so minor, I just think, sports is where it makes the most sense to do that.
And I think if there wasn't so many, and I'm not going to insult guys who buy sports games, I buy sports games, but I try not to buy them as much as I used to, though. But I used to hear people all the time, just update the rosters, pay $20, blah, blah, blah. And I used to get mad at that, because I think, for me, I liked buying a yearly release. I liked being like, that's old, this is new, this is current. And now that I don't play them as much and games are kind of changing, I do kind of wish they would be like, just buy FIFA Soccer, and then every year you can pay $20 for a roster update. You can pay $10 or $20 for another season with Alex Hunter or something like that. Do stuff like that and just keep adding on to the services. And I think EA is a little more stubborn on this. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there are too many people out there that buy them every year that were like me.
Games, yeah.
I mean, NBA 2K series is in the top 10 like all year.
And FIFA,
so,
of course.
and FIFA. Yeah. So they're obviously selling. Like, it's a year-round thing. They're constantly selling. And yeah, they go on sale, but it's not real quick. They don't drop in price real quick.
Yeah, no, that makes a good point. That's a really good point. It'd be interesting to see, though, how they roll it out in the future. Will Madden and FIFA and these others continue like they are? Or will at one point 2K or EA, someone gets bold and decides, we're going to make this franchise a service for the next 3 years, and there's one base game that will continue to get some free and some paid updates? That'd be very interesting to see a strong strategy.
And I would like that, just because, think about it. Like, let's say you have a rookie in the NBA. So NBA 2K18 comes out, and you're playing as a rookie.
Yeah, and they give him like 75 overall rating or something.
Yeah, and they give him like 75 overall, but he comes out and starts averaging 20 a game, and you're like watching his game, and you're like, this guy should totally be an 85 rating.
Right.
It would be nice if they're like, well, you're part of our monthly subscription, so we update the rosters. This guy's an 85. Or somebody was rated an 85, and they come out and they average 10 a game, and they're terrible. Drop their rating. That would be cool if they had constant like updating of players' performance and team's performance.
I feel like some of those games have done that periodically in some ways. I remember Madden and NCAA did that every once in a while, but it was so few and far between. That'd be an interesting concept regularly.
If it was a service, it wouldn't be few and far between, which is what I want.
Yeah, it'd be like every week, if not more frequently than that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I hated it, especially as a big college football fan. I hated it when NCAA football, which always released before the season started, they would guess who the starters were. And so I'd get pissed when they'd have the wrong starter, like for Michigan. I'd be like, that's not the starter, And it would be annoying because if I wanted to put the starter in, he was always lower rated than the guy they picked, which was the wrong guy.
Agreed. Speaking of which, I really want NCAA football to come back.
All right, so what are you playing, Tim?
I have been playing. Some of these aren't going to be a big surprise. The big one that you and I both have going on at the same time is Destiny 2. We've had a chance to get online and play together a little bit, which has been fun. Of course, we tried the Nightfall this week, which was brutal.
Wow.
Our second go at it was more successful than the first, but we realized without some studying up, we're not going to get this thing done. So anyway, it was still fun. That game is a lot of fun. I highly recommend it to all of you to play through at least once solo. So you get that story mode. You can see and hear all the cutscenes and hear all the dialogue. It's very, very well done. And then, of course, jump in there and play with some of us. Join the Fathers of the Grind clan. We're leveling up. We're getting a lot of perks as a clan because of that. So join in, and we'd love to have you. It's not like, I missed the first few weeks. That doesn't matter. Just jump in. We'll level up a character with you, or we'll help you with some tough missions, and then we'll run.
Yeah, I think we got like 8 spots available still. We got a big crew, but they give you a lot of space. And I just checked it, and I think there was like 8 or 9 spots available.
Yep, and if it happens to fill up and you really want to spot in, maybe we'll find someone who's not very active and we'll boot them and let you in. So we want
give it a week. Tim will be the guy I boot.
Probably. So I'm playing that. Playing Mario plus Rabbids. I'm on that final world there, like I said a little while ago. But that and Metroid both, I've made some good progress there. But they're both being interrupted currently by what is right now my favorite game to play. It's just the one that's just so much fun to play. I can't stop playing it, and that's SteamWorld Dig 2 on the Switch. This game is so pretty and so fun to play. Now, SteamWorld Dig 1 I thought was a fun and unique game. It's kind of like...
Is it 4K?
It is not 4K.
So it's not 4K Live.
It's like 7.
Get it out.
Yeah. So SteamWorld Dig 1 had some good ideas. It was kind of like old school Dig Dug meets kind of a Metroidvania style. You have to unlock abilities to get to certain areas. But you're just kind of digging. There's a big empty... unexplored area of earth underneath, and you decide how you want to dig and that kind of thing. And finding the pattern is this: you dig as far as you can because you have a little light meter that will run out over time, and you gather all the gems that you can. Each one's worth a different amount. You go back up to the surface to the town. You trade those in for money. You upgrade your gear. You get a light that lasts longer. You get a pick that does a lot better damage. You start to unlock some explosions, some better jumping ability, a grappling hook. You start to unlock all these abilities. And so it's a nice grind of upgrading and going back, getting a whole bunch of gems as loot, going back up there, upgrading your stuff. A very, very satisfying gameplay loop. Forget the fact that this is a $20 downloadable game. Just let go of that for a second. This game has a very satisfying RPG light loop to it. It really, really does. So I highly recommend this game to everyone who's got a Switch, or if you see it come out on PC, I know it's coming to other consoles. As soon as you see it on your console of choice, I highly recommend it. It's very fun, and it looks really great too. So I'm having a blast with SteamWorld Dig 2. It's exceeded my expectations. I thought it would be a fun diversion, but now over the last 2 days, I've poured like 7 hours into it because it's that fun. So, yep. And I'm not just saying it to bother Derek because he's not a big fan of these smaller side-scrolling indie games. This game is really, really pretty. I'm telling you, in that handheld mode on the Switch, while I watched like 8 hours of football yesterday, and I was playing SteamWorld Dig 2 almost the entire time, and it was a blast. So,
Sure, your wife was real happy that you were watching football and playing video games.
She was. Our marriage is fantastic. But she.
She's like, I love my husband so much. He can be a total waste of space all day.
He's the best. Look at it. Actually, I earned some time because I was at a rainy and cold soccer marathon from like 9 a.m. to about 1 p.m. yesterday. So I earned a whole bunch of relaxed time because I took the hit on that one. She got to stay home with the kids who didn't have soccer, and I was out there braving the elements. It was cold out here yesterday, but anyway, I highly recommend this game. It's super fun, and it truly is a really good looking game. So, and the music's really, fun and quirky. It's good. It's really good. So
cool.
So that's what I'm playing. But I'll tell you, Destiny 2, I consider myself like if I were to look at games I've completed this year, I would put this in that category. But I also put it in the category of games that I'm still playing because I've completed the story twice now. Just like you, I'm about to finish the story with my Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I've completed the single player experience. I'm leveling up the light level to try to do some end game stuff. So I feel like that game is quote unquote done for now, but I'm going to keep playing it because it's kind of like my Rocket League. If other friends are on, I want to jump in and play it. So that one's done. And I think I'm probably closing. I think SteamWorld Dig 2 is about a 15-hour game. So between that and Mario plus Rabbids, I'm going to be closing out a couple games here pretty shortly. And that is good news because there are some big games coming out soon.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the next game you're buying. Because right now, I'm at the time of year right now. It reminds me of earlier this year when I was playing Zelda and Horizon. I couldn't decide because there was too many fun things to play all at once. That's what's going on right now, and it's only going to get worse. So what's the next game or games that you see yourself buying as we round into October?
Well, for right now, just talking to September, I'm thinking maybe Forza 7, but I'm actually pushing towards a no. The only way I would get it is if I get my $15 in Best Buy certificates in time, because I have a $23 gift card to Best Buy as well. So if you add that up, that's $38. Okay. So if I buy the $48 version, I would pay $10 out of my.
Now, is that something that even though you might not buy it now, when the Xbox One X comes out, you're definitely getting it?
See, here's the thing. I wanted to get it digital, so actually I wouldn't get it for $48 because I could play it on PC and get it 4K now. Like, I downloaded the demo, and I was playing it on PC. I actually downloaded the demo on the Xbox and the PC just to look at both versions.
Oh, yeah. What'd you notice?
And I can't. You won't understand. Like, you just don't get the 4K.
Okay,
light.
listen. That is probably the most condescending thing.
I mean, I could pick it out, but you're just not going to get it because you don't understand the 4K life.
Oh, my gosh. That 4K life.
4K life! So, here's the thing, though. I think HDR is actually going to matter for this game because I was playing it on my monitor, and I was like, looks good. Like, it doesn't look bad, obviously. Yeah. It's a really pretty game. But I was like, I want to see what it looks like with HDR. And so then I had it on my Xbox because I couldn't stream it because I forgot the name of it right now, but my streaming box was not picking up that game's on my PC, and I'm thinking it's because it's a demo. So I tried it on the Xbox, and I was like, well, it doesn't look as good, but the lighting's better. So it looks good. It just, here's my thing, and this is why I'm probably not going to buy it. I don't have time for a game like this. This would be more of a casual game, like a FIFA 18 or, which is a definite buy for me. And, NBA 2K18, all those type of games, those are more of a casual, like, hey, I'm not in the mood to play Destiny. I'll just play this for fun. But I don't like the Forza Motorsport games as much as I like Horizon. Horizon's an open world, go anywhere you want, drive crazy. It's got more of an arcade feel. And Motorsport's more, it's not 100% sim, but it's closer. So it's just not as fun to me. So that's why I'm thinking I'm probably not going to buy it. But the definite one I'm getting, it's already paid for, is FIFA 18. That's more for the boys, but I will play as Alex Hunter again like I did in 17. But the main one that I'm excited about, that I'm getting on the Xbox One X and PC, I get both copies with the version I bought, is Shadow of War. So that's the next big one for me. That's the one I'm like, yeah, can't wait to get that one.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the same way. That's the next big game that I can't wait to dive into it. I know I'm going to set everything else aside and just play Shadow of War. It's going to be so much fun. Of course, I'm DFC PS4 over here.
Yeah, not 4K.
Definitely not 4K, but I'm very excited for that game. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that my hopes aren't too high for this. Like, I hope that it delivers, and well, that remains to be seen. But
I know Yonatan, which is in the group, and I believe he listens to our show. He actually went and he went to, I forgot which show. Yeah, is that the one that's over in Europe?
Yeah, Gamescom, I think, is over there.
Okay, so he went to Gamescom. He played a bunch of games. He said Shadow of War felt exactly like Shadow of Mordor. He said it looked pretty good, played great, and he, in the little bit of time he played, it sounded like he wasn't overwhelmed. Because I know me and Sasan are both hyped for this game because we absolutely love Shadow of Mordor. We love the gameplay. We think it plays perfect. But we were both worried. I know I've been really nervous, and it's kind of taken away from my hype. I was like, just every trailer, everything I would watch about this game, they're like, we're adding this, and I'm like, I'm overwhelmed, and I haven't even started the game.
It looks like resource management out the wazoo.
Yeah, and that's not my thing. I mean, that was one of the things I was going to say about Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. Is some of the negatives in the reviews, they're like, well, you only have 3 powers. I'm like, perfect. That means I don't have to manage my powers. I don't get overwhelmed. I just have these 3. One of the things in the other Dishonored games is they give you a bunch of powers, and then you have to decide which ones you want to use and which ones you want to level up and so on. So Death of the Outsider is a little more simplistic. I like that. I like just pick it up, figure it out in 2 seconds, and go. So I was a little worried about Shadow of War because I know with my experience with Shadow of Mordor, and I know I'm not alone in this. I've seen it in the group. I started that game, absolutely loved it, but kept getting destroyed. So I actually quit it and sold it. And this is when I did physical games. And I sold my copy, and then I eventually bought it back and, on the Xbox for a discounted price, and ended up beating the game, playing all the way through and beating it, and just falling in love with it once I figured it out. So I'm a little worried Shadow of War might be a little too much, but we'll see.
I have a feeling it won't be. I think those are going to be things that they introduce that you're going to have to do for the story. And I have the feeling that it's going to be one of those things that you can make that the centerpiece of what you play, but you could also probably just do a lot of exploring and battling. So as long as they have those moments where the captain comes into view and then it's slow, there's like wrestling intro for him where it's like, oh, God. Oh, yeah. And you're like, yeah. I love that moment. That was really
I think one thing I hope they take out, and I don't think they did, is when you're in the middle of fighting, please stop the stopping of the fighting to do when the captain spots you and is like, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, I'm actually literally in the middle of a combo with this other guy, and you stop the fight to tell me you're going to kill me. Like, that's so annoying, and I hope they take that out, but I don't think they did.
I kind of liked that added to the style of it, but there were moments when I was like, okay, you just interrupted my fight, and now I got hit.
I think it's important to know that they're there, because we all know the captains and war chiefs and all them are very powerful. Like, you need to know they're there. But it kind of took me out of, like, the middle of my fight to go, oh, by the way, I spotted you, and I'm coming over to kill you, and it's a little frustrating.
There's a few fixes for that. One of them would be it would, like, automatically set the enemies you were engaging maybe a little bit away from you, and you could re-engage them. Or maybe it waits until you've got space. I don't know. But I did like also when your swords would finally connect, it would zoom in and show them like talking trash to you as you got ready to fight. That kind of stuff it added some style to that game.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. There's a few maybes that I've got between now and October 10th for Shadow of War. So I've got a few maybes. Cuphead's a maybe. It looks really cool. I'm interested to see reviews on that one. Interested to have another reason to turn the Xbox One on. So we'll see. We'll see about that one. I'm also very interested in 2 games that are coming to multiple consoles. Of course, these would be Switch games for me because they're smaller. One's Golf Story, which is a 16-bit golf game. Looks very much like Mario Golf Advanced, and it has an RPG story and RPG elements to it.
Is it out already on other consoles or PC?
No, they said it's coming to... That one might be a Switch exclusive now that I'm thinking about it. But Wolverblade is the other one. That one is going to be on every console. I believe that's going to be on every console right around the same time.
I thought Wolverblade was the one I thought looked cool.
It does
when
look
they
cool.
did
No,
that.
the more I thought about it after we last talked about it, it kind of has visuals similar to Valiant Hearts. Remember that Ubisoft World War I game?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like that, where you've got a really detailed but still background, and you kind of look like paper cutouts that are running around on the screen, kind of closer to your field of vision. Very unique style, but then again, it's a hack and slash multiplayer brawler kind of a thing. So anyway, those are all maybes. I'm interested in those, but Shadow of War is really the next one that I anticipate taking all of my time, and that's before we get to other stuff in October, which we'll talk about later. So
Later, maybe next week, but
maybe next week. So Derek, why don't you tell us why it is we are pausing to talk about Q3?
well, we did a Q1 review and we did a Q2 review, so I thought it'd be cool since we're at the end of September. In fact, I think when our next show comes out, it will be October, so this is a perfect time for us just to go through July, August, September. Like I said at the top of the show, I pulled a good amount of games, and mainly ones that Tim and I either bought or we witnessed other people talking about pretty heavily in the group. But other than that, I left off even some games that I was like, oh, we could have probably mentioned these, but the list was getting pretty long. So it's just our review anyways. It's not anybody else's stuff. Let's start with July. There's not much I kept on July. But basically in July, the major releases were Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age, which I picked up. You played for a little bit as well.
I did.
I hate to say this. This is another game I wish I would just go back and play it, because I did start it, and once I got through the intro, the way the story leaves you on this, like, I would say a nice hook, like, hey, this happened.
Yeah.
Don't you want to see why? And it definitely was one of those where I was like, now I remember why I like Final Fantasy 12 so much. It had that hook. So I would definitely like to play it, but I'll be honest, I only played a couple hours of it. The next one is Splatoon 2. You don't care about Splatoon 2.
I really don't. I feel bad about it.
I don't either.
I just don't.
I bought it, but I bought it for my daughter, and she's loving the heck out of it. I even watched her play it online. She's doing really good. So I told Rob and my brother and Jesse, we have a little private group that we talk in to bash all the people in FOTCA, like Tim Nestor. But I told them, I was like, yeah, I bought the game, but I plan on like secretly selling it when she's not paying attention just to piss her off. I do it all the time. She gets mad. I buy her a game, let her play it for a little bit, and then when she gets real hooked, yeah, I just take it. But no, overall, don't really care. Fortnite, I did pay for the early access. In fact, the reason I have a $23 Best Buy gift card is because I sold that junk. It was cool for like 4 hours, and then once I saw Best Buy was allowing you to trade it in, which I don't know if that's a screw up, by the way. If anybody knows and they want to like tag me in a post, like, hey, you shouldn't have been able to trade this game in, because GameStop was not accepting trades for Fortnite, and neither was Best Buy. And then all of a sudden, Rob Rinaldi posts in that little private group, and he's like, just sold my trash-ass Fortnite copy, because he didn't like it either, for $23. And I was like, I'm going. So I brought my game in to work the next day and traded it in. I'm like, I bet you this is a screw-up on Best Buy's part. And then to round it out, we have Pyra, which you and I both said we liked, but I didn't play it much either because it talks too much, and it's just not something I'm not interested in.
Yeah. Pyre is a good game. It's one that I think I put probably 5 hours into it total. So I was a decent way into it, but I got to the point, as good as I think it is, it's a really unique game. I got to the point where every match was kind of the same. So every match I was doing the same thing, same strategy. And I like it, and I'm happy for those who really like that game, the actual mini gameplay of the quote unquote battles. But it did lose its luster for me. And even though I think the writing's actually quite good, the lore they set up's really interesting in terms of why you're there and who you are and who you're teaming up with, kind of out of necessity. Very interesting stuff, very creative. It's not the kind of thing that I could say is ripping off any other IP. It's very unique. yeah, it definitely lost its luster with me a little bit. Same thing with Final Fantasy 12. The luster wore off a little bit as I got into the grind of trying to go out and do these hunts and things like that. I kind of got tired of that battle system as much as I think it's good. We had a whole show about how good this is.
Yeah.
And I stand by those comments. It's a very good game. But for me personally, I was just ready to move on to other stuff. I think the game that pulled me away from this one was, let's see, what was it? Was it Mass Effect Andromeda? I might have gone back to play Mass Effect Andromeda at that point. I can't remember. But anyway, something else pulled me away from it, and I didn't.
Probably Hellblade.
It could have been Hellblade.
Which we'll talk about next month.
Yeah. The only other one from July I thought is worth mentioning to our PC and PSVR owners is Lone Echo, which had a 89 on Metacritic that came out on July 20th. This is a really interesting looking game set in space, where it's all from a first-person perspective, and you kind of have this anti-gravity floating around look to everything, and all this stuff goes wrong on the space station that you're on. And it got really great reviews, and I'm pretty sure if it's not on PSVR yet, then it's coming to PSVR, I think.
Okay.
So, anyway, thought I'd mention that one too as another July release.
I just want to point out before we move to August that, again, there was more games that came out in July. These are just the 4 or 5 that we mentioned. But there is plenty of space for these developers to release in July. They need to stop the notion that games don't sell during the summer, blah, blah, blah. I know they have the numbers and I don't, but I can also tell you Splatoon 2 sold bat crazy, and so did Fortnite. Fortnite did very well as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Square hasn't done it already, if they released the numbers on Final Fantasy 12 and probably were like, whoa, this did pretty darn good for a remake. So the point is they should be releasing more of these games in July, especially the ones that are going to get buried in October and November, but whatever.
I'm just scrolling through the top games on Metacritic during that time frame. It looks like Neo Defiant Honor, that DLC, came out then too, and people liked that. I never tried it, but people like that too.
I haven't bought the season pass for that. I will when it's dirt cheap.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
July was solid, but I'm with you. If games like Vampire next year from Don't Nod, or really any of these other games that have kind of been pushed into 2018, even if God of War gets pushed until midsummer like this, that'd be great. Like, give me some space to play the Red Deads and things like that, and then release someone just drop a major game in July. And
like The Last of Us came out in June. Like, it can happen, and you can sell crazy numbers if you just do it. I don't understand why they won't do it. All right, so August. Main game we start off with is Hellblade. That came out August 8th. We both talked about that a lot. You liked it more than me. I came away kind of hating it while still saying that, objectively it's good, but subjectively it can suck it.
Yeah, we talked about that one a lot. I don't have a lot to add other than good game. It's currently at the lower end of my top 10. It'll probably get bumped out of there by the time.
I don't even think I bothered to put it in my top 10 because I knew it just would slide out.
Yeah.
Next game I left on there was Lawbreakers. The reason I left this on here, even though I didn't actually buy it, it was one that I almost bought. I was on vacation the week it released with Hellblade, and I was like, well, I know I'm going to play a lot of Hellblade, so I'll hold off on Lawbreakers. Well, Lawbreakers is apparently not doing well at all. I just read an article where Cliffy B was basically humbled by the fact that nobody's playing this game. So, and I will say this, people are going to crap on it because they're like, well, it didn't sell well because it's garbage. No, it's actually a fun, good game. I played in the beta twice. It's a good game. It's fun. But that being said, it's multiplayer only, and you're just not going to sell me on multiplayer only.
Yeah,
90% of the time.
It kind of gave me like Overwatch type vibes. I have no idea if it's at all like an Overwatch, but
it is that team. Like you have it has similarities to Overwatch where you have like your certain roles that you play within the team, but it's much faster. Like that's my thing with Overwatch. I like it. I don't bash Overwatch. It's so freaking slow. It annoys me. Like it almost feels like playing Divinity when you're playing Overwatch. And if you've ever played Divinity, I know not all our listeners have. It's extremely slow. Like Jesse and I are like, where's the run button? This is so annoying because we're like trotting the entire time, and I'm like, this is dumb. But that's kind of how Overwatch is to me. It's very slow paced, and I think they did that for casual gamers. Obviously, it worked. Whereas Lawbreakers is more of your Unreal Tournament feel. It's a lot faster. Everything's more twitch. So it's all about speed and quickness and no gravity. So it's a solid game. I will buy it. I'm just gonna wait for it to get cheaper and for Cliffy B to cry a little more. And
of, major games that are being overlooked.
Yeah, Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah,
that game's already on sale. I bought it for, I think I paid $35 for it for my PC, and I talked about it when it came out. I had a lot of fun with it when I was playing it, but it was not hard to move on from it. That came out August 15th, and I was done with it by August 22nd, and you'll know why when we get to August 22nd. But it's fun, but it's repetitive, and it wasn't one of those games, kind of like most of the games we're talking about so far in this quarter, where I was like, I've got to play it, and I've got to keep playing it. It's more of those, I started, I'm like, this is cool. I'll move on.
So let me ask you real quick about something like Agents of Mayhem or even Lawbreakers. So you spend $35 on a game. If you had known when you first bought it, even though that's on sale, right? That's like 50% off or whatever. If you had known I'm going to get a solid week of fun out of this thing, is that a game you still would have bought at that price, or would you have waited if you had known this is about a week's worth of gaming for me?
I probably would have waited. I was kind of hoping that it would be my Crackdown replacement. And I'm not blaming the game. I chose to walk away from it. It didn't do anything. Let me rephrase that. Some of the boss fights were like real boring. Like one of them I was fighting, I was like, this is repetitive. Nothing changed. And it just took forever to kill him. And that was the difficulty, was it just took forever. So there are some flaws to the game. But would I have bought it? Still probably not. I should have been more patient, and that's why I said I'm leaning towards not buying Forza 7, because I'm trying to be honest with myself. My desire is to buy everything, but then I'm like, then 2 weeks later I'm going to be like, why did I buy Forza 7? I'm not going to play it. You know, so I think it's one of those games that I should have just waited on, because even on PC, I guarantee you CD Keys is probably going to have a copy of it for $18 in probably 2 weeks. So it'll drop pretty fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Another game that came out on August 15th with Agents of Mayhem, and I did not pick this one up, so I don't know if you did, Sonic Mania. I saw a lot of people posting.
Yeah, people are recommending, even if you were a somewhat of a Sonic fan. I consider myself someone who thought those games were kind of cool and kind of creative.
I liked them when I was younger, but I hate them now. I don't like them.
Playing them. Yeah, I never got into them, but I've been told that this is actually essentially the best version of old school Sonic that's out there. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard that from multiple.
That's all I heard, was that it's the best Sonic game in like 15 years. So
that it's a great Sonic experience, and I believe that. This is one of those that come holiday season, if it's looking like, you know, the Nintendo eShop has a sale, might grab this on the Switch. Could be a fun one just to play in handheld mode every once in a while, but I don't see myself, you know, getting this one. It's not until the next game you're about to mention that Q3 really took off for me.
Agreed. So far, I've bored myself with just listing these games. So Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, this was an outstanding game. So this is one of those games where, yeah, I did start it and was like, this is fabulous, this is amazing, and then actually finished it because it's that good. So it's definitely one of my favorite Uncharted experiences. It's one of those, when I originally walked away from it, I was like, it's got to be my favorite. I can't remember liking an Uncharted game this much, even though I've actually loved all the Uncharted games except 4, which I still liked it. I just didn't love it. But now that we're further away from it, I think the only thing that hurts it, and I'm not one of those that's like, games have to be longer, but it was a short experience. It was a to-the-point story. There wasn't a lot there for the story, and that would be the only weakness. But overall, such an amazing experience. Definitely going to be in my top 10. I seriously doubt it's going to slide out of it, because I already rated it pretty darn high. But I love that game. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's in my top 10 as well. It'll stay there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an amazing game. I'm with you. That game could have used, even if they had said, hey, listen, we're pushing this one to, you know, early 2018 or whatever, because they want to add more to it, you know, add a new location, you know, maybe that would be late 2018. I don't know. I would have loved for this to be more of a full-fledged game experience, but that's a very nitpicky thing to complain about because I had so much fun with it. It was so pretty. The characters were incredibly engaging. Nadine and Chloe are great as a kind of 1-2 punch in terms of their banter and their skill set. It's really great. And so I'm looking forward to the future of the Uncharted series. Whether or not it includes them remains to be seen.
I hope it
I
does.
think it should. I think they'd be missing out if they decide to totally move on to a different lead. I think those two.
And I do want to add, so for those people that are like, well, you played it for 8 hours, doesn't sound like it's that short. Keep in mind that this game has an open area that's probably the biggest open area ever in an Uncharted game. And that particular chapter can take you anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, and it really doesn't push the story to further or forward, I should say. It almost feels like they made it that way to make the game a little bit longer. Like, hey, let's open up this area, and then they put a certain task in there that can take players a very long time to do if they choose to do it. I didn't. I didn't care.
I took my time and did it. That made the overall experience feel fuller. But yeah, if you take that part out, then it was definitely a
shorter experience,
DLC-sized experience.
Exactly. Okay, so good game, but moving on. Madden 18 for August 25th.
Skipped it.
Don't want to talk about it. Don't care. Absolver, August 29th. I actually was originally interested in this game, but I decided to not get it because it looked like it was multiplayer only. And then the big one, well, really, I'm going to read off two. The two big ones for August for me were Mario plus Rabbids and then Pillars of Eternity. Pillars of Eternity has been out for a while on PC. It finally made its debut on consoles, which I decided to go ahead and pick up. Both games are great. I would actually say going into it, I was definitely more hyped to play Pillars of Eternity because I was in the mood for like that old school style RPG that has a good story and good. When I say good story, I should say it has good stories in the story. There's a lot of decisions you make that cost people lives. It's got that Game of Thrones vibe where everybody's expendable. You can kill anybody based off decisions you make or decisions others people make in the game. But I ended up walking away liking Mario plus Rabbids more. That was another reason why I stopped playing Pillars of Eternity, because I was like, well, if I'm going to play a side game, it's going to be Mario plus Rabbids. Outstanding game. I am actually going to keep playing it. I'm kind of treating Mario plus Rabbids like I did Zelda, and that's play it a lot, take a break, come back, play it again. So
yeah, nice. No, that's one of my favorite games of the year as well. It's definitely in the lead for my biggest surprise of the year. That's going to be one of the categories to talk about this year as well. Our most pleasantly surprising game experience. This one's leading the way for me right now. I did not see it coming. I did not see it being that great. I thought it would end up being like a 7, like a solid experience that I didn't feel like finishing. But this game it's beautiful. It's really well made. The art is amazing. We've talked about it a lot. Mario plus Rabbids is absolutely stellar.
And then after this, I'm going to put a football game on, and I'm probably going to continue playing Mario plus Rabbids.
Yep. Good choice.
Quickly reading through the rest of August because we got a lot to go through in September. We got Redout. Pretty cool game. I didn't play it, but if I do, I'll get it on PC when it's super cheap, but I am definitely going to buy it. I am interested, and it is rated pretty highly. The other one is XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. That is an expansion to XCOM 2. Nothing but praise for, first of all, XCOM 2, and then this expansion is apparently very big. So,
but I have heard that if you're going to play it, only get on PC. I've heard the console versions, especially PS4, does not run smoothly. I'm sure they'll.
It released on consoles already?
I thought so, or maybe they were just playing. Maybe the podcast I was listening to, they had played a build for it on consoles. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it says a PC release on the 29th.
So either it's out on consoles now and isn't playing well, or someone was able to play the PS4 version and it did not play well.
Okay, which I would get it on PC anyways if I ever do buy it because I have XCOM 2 on PC. Yakuza Kiwami. I would have bought this if I would have beat Yakuza 0. Because I didn't beat Yakuza 0, I actually one of the few games that I said no to. So I have not bought it yet. It's a shorter, I wouldn't say shorter experience, but I'd say it was a smaller Yakuza experience. It's $30. It's the remaster version of, I believe, the first Yakuza. So I definitely want to get to it after I beat Zero. And then the last release in August is Life is Strange Before the Storm. I'm not going to say I have zero interest in it, but I have 0.5 interest in it. It's not something I care about. I didn't love Life is Strange. I thought it was good, but I didn't love it. And Before the Storm, I have no interest in it.
I have no interest because Ashley Burch is not voicing the main character, and so to me it seems like a new character. It's like recasting someone on a show that you watch. It's like, well, this is different. And I also have heard that it's actually not that great. So
it doesn't sound like it's that good.
So I don't have any interest in it either. It's kind of a bummer, but I'm skipping it.
All right, now moving on to September. Well, before we move on to September, I would say August was a decent month. For you, it might be rated a little bit higher, and the reason why is you liked Hellblade more than me, and you liked, or you do like Mario plus Rabbids more than me.
Yeah, I thought it was a surprisingly strong month. I did not expect it to be that good.
But I liked Uncharted, I think, more.
Yeah, I expected Uncharted Lost Legacy to be the real shining star in that month, and it was one of 3, in my opinion. So, yeah.
I would say Agents of Mayhem is better than Hellblade.
Oh my God.
Have a nice day. Yeah, but a decent month. Definitely an enjoyable month. So let's move on to September. Okay. And there's only one game that matters, Destiny 2. So let's just stop talking about it now.
Wait, you totally skipped the far superior sequel. Come on.
I know. The only person playing it is Rudy, so I got to make fun of Rudy. He bought Knack 2, did not buy Destiny 2. That's because he's going to play it on PC. But that's no excuse. You should have used those funds towards Knack 2 and just buy Destiny 2 on the PS4.
Dude, I don't know if you saw that, but if you looked at your friends list right after Destiny 2 came out, all my friends list was Destiny 2. And then at one point, I could have sworn I saw Rudy playing Knack 2 on there. I could have sworn.
I did. I saw him on there. I was ashamed of him. So
Destiny 2, Knack 2. I was like,
if you liked Knack enough that you would definitely want a sequel, then Knack 2 is an improvement from what I've heard. Yep. I'm trusting other reviewers. Yep. I bought Knack. I actually beat Knack. I actually even kind of liked Knack. But when I walked away from it, I only played this because it was a launch game. I knew if they ever released a sequel, I would never. Well, I won't say never.
Here's what Knack is. Now that companies don't make licensed games based on cartoons anymore, Knack is basically that type of game. A game that's based off of some new Disney movie, and here's your 3D adventure game that ties in with the movie. The only thing is there's not a Knack movie. So it's like that where it's decent. I think back to like the Kung Fu Panda game that came out a few consoles ago. It was fine, but it was, it wasn't perfect, and there are plenty of issues with it. Knack's the same way, and I've heard Knack 2 went from being like around a 6 out of 10 to somewhere around a 7.5 out of 10. So that sounds like a decent step up.
It sounds like they had some improvement. I think the co-op portion of it, the fact that you can play, I believe, the entire campaign co-op is cool. But with the world we live in now, where we just went through July and August, which has good games, and said, well, I played this for a little bit and moved on. There's no way I'm going to play a Knack 2 instead of those games that I moved on from. So Knack 2, whatever. Next game on the list, Destiny 2. We've talked about it a lot. I'm not going to sit on it. We love it. I'm probably 60, 70 hours in. I love that game. The next one is Monster Hunter Stories. Now, I don't have this game, but I'm actually kind of interested in it, and I'll talk about it for just a second. This game is actually not like your typical Monster Hunter game. It's actually a turn-based RPG with a story. And so one of the girls who reviewed it, I think for GameSpot, it may have been the IGN show, I think it was GameSpot though, was talking about how fun it is to play. The turn-based is good. The stories within the game are pretty good. She said, now this is a girl, but she said she teared up towards the end. So sounds like it's a quality 3DS title. I don't know what it...
On the easy side, though, just so you know, because I know Monster Hunter games are known for their difficulty and their steep learning curve. Like you said, this is a turn-based JRPG set in that same universe, so it'll feel the same, but then the gameplay is way different. And I've heard on similar type conversations, I believe it was one of the IGN podcasts, that the difficulty is actually not very high. But I couldn't remember that. Yeah.
maybe it was because it's supposed to be like a kid
Yeah,
type
I think that's the
version.
target audience, and so
Well,
I've
then
heard
never mind.
I've heard it's good but easy. So
Okay. Okay, cool. I might get it, but honestly, since the Switch has come out, the 3DS is dead to me. I even bought Fire Emblem,
yeah,
Tales of Vesperia. No, not Tales of Vesperia. That's freaking a different game. But whatever, the newer one that came out. No, not Fates. The one that came out after it this year.
The Echoes one, right? Echoes of Valente.
Yeah. So I bought that, and I actually ended up trading it in before I ever even played it because I got my money back. Like what I spent, I got back with the trade-in. But the point is I bought it to play it, and I was like, it's the 3DS. I don't care. So eventually I will buy it, by the way. But yeah, I just don't care about 3DS/2DS games anymore. I would prefer to play these games on the Switch. I'm cool with the fact that they're still supporting the 3DS, but I really wish they would start putting these games on the Switch as well. Next one is Divinity Original Sin 2. It just came out on September 14th on the PC only. I've heard nothing but amazing things. I actually posted in the group, and everybody ignored it because they don't care about PC gaming. But this game has 4-player co-op.
That's awesome. That's
really awesome.
Cool.
Like, I've always wanted co-op RPG games, and the fact that this is like a true RPG turn-based, very difficult game, and that you can play it with up to 4 people, I love it. So I'm definitely going to get it. I hope it comes
now reading in the last 90 days on Metacritic, so essentially Q3. That includes a little bit at the end of June, and it doesn't include things like Cuphead, whatever.
Yeah.
But it is right now leading with a 94 Metacritic average and an 8.9 user score. That is amazing.
People the fact that it's actually decently high with a user scoring where everybody goes on there and it's 0s or 10s. It's pretty good.
It's amazing.
So yeah, it sounds like an amazing game. I'll definitely be picking that one up. Cool. We've talked a lot about Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. That came out on September 15th. Great game. Can't wait to beat it. But definitely, for me, I highly recommend it if you are interested in Dishonored at all, or you are already a fan of the series. Get it. It's great. Real quick, NBA Live 18, kind of a fail. I actually pre-ordered this game because I had fun with the demo, but when I got EA access and got early access to the full game and started playing it, I started to see how, glitchy the gameplay. It's very janky. It was doing weird stuff. Even though I actually think it's easier to play than NBA 2K18. NBA 2K18 is a very frustrating game to me, in my opinion, whereas NBA Live is more fun to play, but it's definitely the presentation, the jankiness, all that is kind of a fail. Gotcha. NHL 18, nothing to add there. Threes is cool. Great game if you like NHL. You've talked a lot about Metroid Samus Returns. Not something I'm interested in, and I probably never will play it. But it is very well received. It reviewed very highly. It's made a lot of Metroid fans very happy. That is also on the 3DS. Let me say this. I will not play it while it's on the 3DS. If it comes to the Switch and they clean up the graphics and make it a little bit prettier, I'll play it.
And they might, and that would be great because that's the one hang up I have with it is that it does have these polygonal style art, which means on your 3DS screen, thank goodness it's a small screen because if I were playing on an XL or a Switch size screen at that same resolution, it would look pretty grainy. So, but on the small 3DS screen, it looks quite good. The animations are great, but it's definitely not as crisp as I'm used to with Nintendo handhelds right now. But this game is right now at an 87 on Metacritic, a 9.2 user average out of 10, which is insane.
That's really good.
So people are loving it. I think it's mostly gamers like me who are this game takes me straight back to Super Metroid on the SNES. It's got that same vibe. There's a few screens of explaining a quote unquote story as to why you're on this planet, but then it just lets go. It lets you go do what you have to do. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't hold your hand. You just start exploring and you start finding doors that you can't get into. Eventually you unlock a new type of rocket or a gun. You come back, boom, you can open that door, and so on and so forth. Very classic Metroid, very well done, feels and looks great. And I'll tell you what, in this day and age where we want to keep feeling that progression, that upgrade, this game is is hitting all cylinders when it comes to upgrade. Love it.
Good.
Now it's not very RPG like because you don't choose where to put ability points or anything, but you simply unlock new powers, and it's really great. So
Cool.
love that game.
All right, so if it comes to Switch, maybe. For now, no.
Yeah.
Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I actually bought this game. I bought it with Agents of Mayhem. I got both for $65. So I paid $30 for this one, $35 for Agents of Mayhem. But then I went and checked my card and saw that I was getting a refund, and then I got an email from CD Keys saying that they screwed up and that these are England keys only, or London keys only, whatever, Great Britain. So I actually got my order canceled, and I'm happy. And the main reason is not because I don't think I would have liked the game. I probably would have. I probably would have played it for 5 minutes. So thank you for canceling my order. I appreciate it. But overall, it's pretty well received, even though it's gotten a lot of negative feedback for some of the decisions they've made with this game. Not going to go into it because I just don't care, but that came out in September.
I heard they have no X-Men characters, which sounds like a big oversight.
That's the biggest thing they're getting pushed back on, but there's some other stuff that people just don't like. But I think, and this will be a huge mistake if they do this, I've heard rumors that the X-Men characters are going to come back, but they're going to be DLC. So if they make it paid DLC, I don't know if you'll ever see a Marvel vs. Capcom game, because that's just the way gamers are now. They're all entitled pricks that think you should get everything included for $4. They don't even think they should pay $60. The next game on the list is NBA 2K18. I kind of talked about that. I didn't put it in what are you playing now, but I actually am playing it. But I am disappointed, to say the least. I'm playing My Player right now, which is like this playground experience, so you can walk in kind of this open hub world. I talked about it, I think, at the last podcast. The reason I'm so disappointed is I don't complain about microtransactions, but this game feels like they want you to buy their VC. Like, they don't reward you. Like, Destiny 2, I don't give a crap if they have microtransactions, and the reason why is that game overly rewards you. And if Shadow of War does the same thing where they overly reward you, I won't care that they have microtransactions. Right. But if they make you feel like you're playing this game and they keep shining this stuff in front of you, like saying, well, you can have this if you buy it from us, and they don't give it to you in the game at a decent rate, then I am going to be pissed. And this is what NBA 2K18 does. If you play the My Player, you start out at a rating of a 60. Fine, whatever. But as you practice and you keep doing things, you like move up just a little bit. And every game I play, I get like 2 minutes to play the game. Well, guess what you earn VC from? Your game time and what you do in the game. Well, if I'm only playing 2 minutes in each game, I'm never going to freaking level up. It's so stupid. So to say I'm disappointed that they've done this is an understatement. And I'm not alone because, and I can say this because I read the article, NBA or 2K has heard so much complaints by the way they have this set up that they've actually lowered the price of what things cost when you buy with your VC. Because like if you go in to get a haircut, it's like 1,300 VC. Well, 1,300 VC basically means you need to play, if you're early on in the game, probably about 3 games to get 1,300 VC. And that's for a haircut. A freaking haircut. So they drop the prices of that. But it's stupid. I do not recommend NBA 2K18. I plan on getting my money back. My net for what I spent was $38. So if I can get 38 trade-in, it's gone. I'm getting rid of it. I'm not supporting that crap game.
You know what might help you calm down is if you played a little calm, relaxing SteamWorld Dig 2. You know?
Oh, you mean trash. So you think I should calm down by rolling myself in trash. I'm not playing trash.
Whatever you got to call it. Whatever you got to call it. That game was amazing.
Yeah, so the next game is SteamWorld Dig 2. Literally nobody cares about this game except Tim Nestor. It's dumb.
You're all
after that is Pokemon Gold and Silver. I have no idea what this is. I hate Pokemon.
It's basically their virtual console re-release on 3DS. You can go buy it in the eShop.
Sounds terrible. I'm not buying that.
The
Another re-release is Pokken Tournament Deluxe for the Switch.
Yeah.
It came out on Friday. I actually thought you would buy this, and the reason why is because your family's into Pokemon,
They really are.
and it would be a fun like fighting game because apparently they nail it as far as the fighting goes because it's a Tekken type game.
Yeah.
On the Switch, which is another bonus for you, but you did not. So I was
Did not.
surprised by
I
that.
might when it goes on sale. I don't need another reason for my kids to want to play the Switch all the time.
It's true. That takes from your time.
Takes from my time. That's right.
When are you gonna stop being a cheap butt and just buy a second Switch for your children?
That needs to be a Christmas thing, I think, because it's getting a lot out of hand. I'm like, stop taking my Switch.
Yeah. I just had that experience because Eli took my Switch and then left it in my wife's car. And I don't know if you know Florida, it's extremely hot. So when I had him get it out because he left it in there for over 5 hours, it was like boiling hot. So I was pissed. Next game, or the last two games for September, are Cuphead and FIFA 18. Obviously, I'm very interested in FIFA 18. I will say and only because of the hype, I am interested in to see how Cuphead does, but I just don't think it would be a smart buy for me. It doesn't look like my type of game at all, so I am not planning on getting that.
Yeah, we'll see what the reviews say. It's been pushed back so many times. We'll see. We'll see.
So my highlights for September would definitely be Destiny 2, NHL 18, NBA 2K18 was a letdown. FIFA 18 I'm expecting will be great. And I would say my biggest surprise is Dishonored Death of the Outsider. Because I actually told you, and I told Rudy, because Rudy got it on PC as well. I told him, he was like, who's excited for this? I'm like, I'll get it later when it's like $10. But it ended up being 20 on PC. So I gave it a shot, and I'm glad I did. It's great.
You know what's interesting as I'm looking through this list you've got here? I know there's some left off, but this covers all the stuff I've played, I think.
Yeah.
July didn't really have anything that grabbed me and held on. Once we got to August, all the way from the beginning of August to the end of September, there's only 1 week that there hasn't been, in my opinion, an amazing experience. Hellblade was August 8th. August 15th, there wasn't anything for me. There was Hellblade. 2 weeks later, there was Uncharted Lost Legacy. 1 week later, there was Mario plus Rabbids. 1 week later, there was Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
One week later, there was Metroid, Samus Returns. And 1 week later, for me personally, there was SteamWorld Dig 2. I've had a game every week except for 1 week for the last almost 8 weeks.
And then if you buy Cuphead, you'll finish the month out.
Exactly. And if Cuphead ends up being a home run, which I'm not expecting it to be, but if it does surprise and delivers this amazing experience, then you got that. And then we jump right into October when things get really crazy. So, yeah.
So overall, I would say first quarter is still my favorite. Second quarter, and I'm going based off memory, was decent but not great. I think third quarter, it has a few highlights that I love, but I don't know. I would have to look at second quarter and then compare it to third quarter just to kind of see. But I would say it's probably on par with second quarter, maybe a little bit better, but nothing.
Yeah, first quarter was without a doubt the best. It had everything from Nier to Neo to Zelda, Horizon. It was out of this world. So second quarter had things like Mass Effect Andromeda, which was really good. But then not a ton else besides that. There were other games, but not as much to get super excited about.
Yeah.
And then Q3, I think, has put up a strong showing. So right now for me, it's Q1, Q3, Q2 in that order. I expect Q4 to give Q1 a run for its money. We shall see. We shall see. So. Cool. Hey, Derek, thanks for leading us through that. It has been a good quarter. It's fun to always look back and review how things went. And you, listener, what are you playing? What have you played this quarter that you think was great? What did we miss? Is there something that we skipped that you are screaming at your car or wherever you're listening to this? You forgot about fill in the blank. Let us know about it. We want to hear what other games you guys have been playing that maybe we've been skipping. And,
also let Tim know that you want Derek to host. Let Derek host.
Oh, don't do a let Derek host. That's a kind of funny ripoff thing, isn't it?
Kind of not funny. It's kind of stupid. I hate Tim. Let Tim host. Tim, shut up. You're annoying. That was my I hate kind of funny.
Guys, he's not talking about this Tim. He loves me.
I do love the Nestor phone.
Unrequited love. But It's the Tim Geddes from Kind of Funny. Let's just be really clear about who you're talking about.
Yeah, I forgot as I was doing my Tim. Which, by the way, I didn't share this to end the show, and we'll end on this. I was playing NBA 2K18, and so I decided to do the playground. So the playground is where you just go to the playground and you line up to get into the next game. So I get in this game, and I'm kind of nervous. I've never played NBA online. I'm like, all right. So I'm playing, and this freaking douchebag on my team is doing 1 versus 3, and he's not even that great. He was okay. I'm not going to say he was terrible. He definitely led us in scoring because he was so selfish. Well, we're going against better players. Like they were higher rated. They were all in their 80s. We're all in our like 60s and 70s. And he gets on the mic. He's like, real quiet. He's like, why don't y'all just give me the ball? You guys are a waste of space. Just play some defense and just give me the ball. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. He starts talking trash. So I get on my mic and I call him every name in the book. And I started doing that. I was like, let's go 1 versus 3. Expecting this guy to flip out. He just stayed calm the whole time. Because his name was like, life sucks if you're sober. I was like, you're probably drunk, you idiot. And he was just like, bro, shut up, bro. Give me the ball. I'm the only one who's good. He just kept his voice like tame the entire time, and I was yelling at him. It was a great experience.
I like to think that he had like a little baby sleeping next to him, so he couldn't get loud. He's just like talking real quiet.
And he just hears me yelling, "You beep 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 beep!" I was yelling at him. That was fun.
No man, just give me the ball, man.
Just give me the ball. It's 1 versus 3. You're wide open. If I pass to you, you probably shoot the layup, but I'm 1 versus 3. That's what I do.
Get out my way. Yeah,
all right, that's the podcast show. Goodbye.
That's it. Episode 90 is over. See you guys next week.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?